Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Our main weather of concern is this upper level low that is finally making its way northeast up the east coast and bringing some additional rainfall to areas such as the Delmarva regions, some areas upslope of the Appalachians as well. We also have disturbed weather over here in the west coast associated with this upper level trough digging in to the west, bringing some mountain snow and some scattered rain showers and thunderstorms to areas of the northwestern United States. We also have blistering heat, some relief from previous days in the northern United States, but heat building up here in southern and central Texas. Here is our look at our current National Weather Service watches and warnings. We have red flag warnings here associated with high and dry temperatures and high winds up here in the Central Plains to upper Midwest. We also have red flag warnings in the Southwest associated again with those high and dry conditions. We also have a heat advisory now in place for areas of southwestern Texas, expected to get well over 100 degrees in some of these areas. Also, a flood watch for portions of the east coast here. Looking at our surface map, we can see our low pressure system moving its way. It is now occluded into the Midwest, which brought some scattered showers with areas such as the central Mississippi River Valley into the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes region. However, our main area of concern is associated with this largely forced regime of this warm front and this cold front here, bringing some rainfall concerns for areas such as the Delmarva region into the central Appalachians. We also have snow and mixed precipitation here in the northwest. Our main areas of concern for snowfall, at least, will be over here in areas such as Yellowstone in the higher elevations just south of Bozeman, Montana. We also have some rain showers, some scattered rain showers expected in areas such as the Northern Plains. We also have those red flag warnings in these critical fire weather regimes here in the Northern Plains and in the Southwest. For day 2, some severe weather is expected in portions of the Northern Plains associated with this new surface low that's going to be caused by that upper level trough that we've been discussing about, mainly bringing some below average temperatures for much of the west, and also some scattered snow showers in the higher elevations, and also some scattered rain showers in the lower elevations. We have a continuation of that critical fire weather risk in the southwest, and this low pressure system is kind of running out of steam in the east coast finally after days of rain inundation. It is still going to bring a sufficient amount of moisture to bring some gloomy weather to much of the east coast. On day 3, Thursday, we have that severe weather risk in the Midwest. Now, the SPC decided to cut off the western portions of the risk, mainly because of concerns with forcing, being able to break what we call the cap. In order for convection to be free, it needs to provide enough instability. And over here, there just isn't enough instability to be had in earlier portions of the regime. Nonetheless, still a severe weather risk, primarily for wind and hail for areas such as the Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley. Day 1, we have a slight risk of excessive rainfall over here in areas such as the central Appalachians into the east coast of North Carolina. This is associated with possibly 1 to 3 inches of rain today, with higher amounts relegated to upslope Appalachia, such as the Blue Ridge Mountains, and also any isolated areas that may experience convection today. Marginal risk of excessive rainfall both in the northern plains associated with this new surface low, and also a marginal risk of excessive rainfall over here. Again, we're mainly focused on the upslope regimes, which will promote lift and additional rainfall. Once again, a marginal risk up here in the northern plains. Again, once again associated with that surface low. Day 4, after this surface low brings a cold front into much of the United States, bringing much needed heat relief to the northern plains, it will actually cause a stalled frontal boundary here, which will bring rainfall into the central United States. I know earlier this year we had excessive rainfall all over areas of the Mid-South and Ohio River Valley, but a similar situation is probably going to set up here, especially areas near the Missouri boot heel. We will start to saturate those soils again, and possibly an upgrade is needed to these flooding risks associated with the soils and days of rainfall, mainly due to the stalled front. Looking at our severe convective weather outlooks, we have pockets of marginal risks over the U.S., primarily over portions of the northern plains, portions of the east coast, and portions of the southeastern United States. It's mainly associated with the meager wind and hail risk. Starting off, we have a strong low pressure system making its way in the northern United States, and a slight risk has been issued for areas such as North Dakota, South Dakota, and Nebraska. Now, this is associated with primarily a wind risk, but also some hail, and tornadoes are not unlikely as well. A low pressure system will continue to migrate eastward, and we've been talking about this particular risk for quite a while. Again, the primary risk for this one has always been, in my opinion, wind and hail, and that seems to be congruent with what SPC is thinking. A Pacific cold front will make its way into this region and start to force off some storms. Again, as I said, what we call capping is an issue for southern regimes, but if any parcels can break its way through the cap in these southern regimes, then the thermodynamic profiles are pretty robust in this area. So I expect the higher hail totals to be relegated to the southern extent if storms can fire. That is kind of the big thing here. High temperature dew point spreads will also cause a big wind risk here and possible upscale growth into a more linear system. So again, the main thinking is a primarily wind and hail risk. Looking at day 4 through 5, we have a day 4 risk associated with that stalled front here. The thermodynamic and kinematic profiles will be sufficient for supercells. Again, I think this will be primarily a wind and hail threat for here, but also the flooding threat will be prominent in these regions as well. For day 5 through day 8, predictability is too low, but as we get into the modeling, you'll see another trough is expected to impinge into the western United States, and this trough seems a little bit more favorable for significant severe weather for areas such as the Central Plains. Looking at our NWS heat risk, we can see continuation of the heat up north, but this is slowly depleting. Areas such as Fargo, Grand Forks, Bismarck should expect temperatures in the high 90s with some blowing snow and a critical fire weather risk up here as well. Sorry, not blowing snow, blowing dust. Tomorrow we see a depletion of that heat up here in the northern United States, but we see a building of heat in areas such as Austin, San Antonio, and San Angelo, Texas, with temperatures well above 100 degrees for much of this area. Especially areas near the Mexico border, we should see temperatures up to 110 degrees, which is above average for this time of year. This heat will persist throughout the next few days, bringing, again, degrees hovering around 100, and also this heat will start to spread across the eastern United States. But again, the most persistent, the hottest heat will be relegated to areas such as southern Texas away from the Gulf Coast. Heat will persist well into the weekend with little to no relief. The areas such as, again, San Antonio and Houston. Looking at our extended range outlook, we have hazardous heat, of course, in southern Texas, as well as our respective severe weather risks. Also, heavy rain risks and flooding possible in areas such as Memphis, Bowling Green, Nashville, and Louisville, Kentucky. We also have high winds associated with those surface cyclones all over the northern plains and impinging into the Midwestern region. Now, looking at our modeling, we can see our upper level trough going into our area, into the northern plains, and we can see that this trough's orientation is pretty what we call meridional, north to south across the Rockies, which will not really bring a focused surface response, but will bring a surface response nonetheless, and bring our cyclone, which will furthermore increase our severe weather threat in the northern plains and move on to the Midwest. This area, here we have our subtropical jet down here, our polar jet up here, and we have these two areas of enhanced flow impinging its way into the Midwest on Thursday, and this is where we're going to get our severe weather. My personal opinion is that our focused area of most concern will be areas of central Illinois, east central Illinois, into areas of Indianapolis and areas of central Indiana, mainly because of the subtropical jet trying to bring some enhanced flow aloft into that area. But again, as I said before, and I'll even take a sounding right here. This is an atmospheric sounding. We use this to diagnose thermodynamic and kinematic profiles. Here, the area between the dashed line here and the red line here is the area between our parcel path and our temperature lines, which gives us a good idea on instability. And here we have a stout, what we call an elevated mixed layer, which brings good lapse rates, which is good for instability, but also this inversion where temperature increases in height rather decreases than height, where it'll kind of block or cap the surface-based environment, which is where we get most of our forcing. So if it blocks the surface-based environment or surface-based instability, then parcels will not be able to initiate because most of our forcing is focused at the surface. So as you can see here, temperatures, in my opinion, the sounding isn't that indicative of the environment because our temperatures are actually going to be much higher and our dew points will be a bit lower. So in reality, we're still probably going to be quote-unquote capped in this area, which is sort of the main fly in the ointment, if you will, for this setup, at least with southern extent. With northern extent, we have much more forcing associated with good divergence in the upper levels and also the same enhanced flow up here. So portions of Chicago into Green Bay will probably still see, we're more confident at least in seeing severe weather. And that is sort of reflected in the precipitation type here. We can see our elongated surface flow associated with that meridionally oriented upper level trough. And we can see showers and thunderstorms associated with that slight risk today, but tomorrow that surface flow moves northward and brings possibly some severe weather. We see more precipitation response in areas such as Wisconsin, which is why we're a bit more confident that severe weather will be more widespread up there. But as you can see, because of that capping, as I discussed earlier, not really much of a precipitation response here. But again, this is a global model. We haven't gotten our good convective resolving models just yet. We're just out of range. So take this with a grain of salt. Still look out for severe weather all over the SPC risk areas. As we move forward, we will see that Starling boundary will cause some more rainfall into areas such as the mid-south and southern or middle Mississippi Valley. As we move on, another trough will start to impinge on the area and bring some sort of a surface response to areas such as the plains, which is kind of our next system, but uncertainties regarding timing and exact intensity is still up in the air. So I'll tell you what I mean by the models just seem a bit inaccurate right now. If we look at a place like Champaign, where I said the areas of most concern will be because of that impingement of the subtropical jet here, we can see that the models were depicting low 80s around 0Z, which is 6 p.m. Look at Thursday at around 6 p.m. Temperatures in the upper to mid 80s. So temperatures will be higher, especially look at our dew points. It showed a 72-degree surface dew point. Our dew points are only still high enough for severe weather nonetheless, but still relatively lower than the model runs. So definitely higher temperatures, lower dew points will result in residual capping in areas such as east central Illinois. So that is our main concern, at least in terms of severe weather coverage for this setup. Our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook here, we have above normal across the southeastern United States and above normal across central California, and much below normal for the northern United States. We have above average precipitation for our 6 to 10 day outlook for much of the US, and still below average in areas such as Florida and Northern California. So that is going to be it for today's briefing. If you enjoyed the video and would you like to see more briefings in the future, please leave a like, subscribe, comment for any constructive criticisms that you might have. And of course, if you want any local, more specific information, please refer to your broadcast meteorologist or National Weather Service meteorologist for more information. All my resources are linked below in the description. Thank you so much and have a great day.